Coming to you direct from SilencerShop Studios, home of the glass case of emotion.
SilencerShop.com, the easiest way to buy silencers online, period.
Stand by for education, enlightenment, enjoyment, and entertainment.
He's not here to talk about your feelings. He's not here to say what you want to hear. He's here to say what needs to be said.
Ladies and gentlemen and children of all ages, please welcome your host, the pimp hand of America, Professor Paul Markel.
That's true. It is I, and I am your host and the pimp hand of America. Thank you. And like I said, I didn't ask for this job, but I took it because it was a job that needed to be done. And quite frankly, somebody's got to do it, and it might as well be me. So welcome to Student of the Gun Radio. Welcome to the... Jared, is this today's Thursday already? Sweet Buddha, I think it is.
Today is Thursday.
It is Thursday already. Wow. So what does that mean to the listeners at home? Well, what that means is that we're going to have a Student of the Gun homeroom for you. And as we said yesterday, we're going to have part 2 of our interview with Dr. Dan Olesnicky from SWAT Fuel, and we're going to continue to pick his gigantic brain about all things nutrition and health and fitness and all kinds of stuff. So pay close attention. And like I said yesterday, that only applies to you if you're a living, breathing Homo sapien. If you're a living, breathing human, it applies to you. If not, then you can skip it. How's that sound? Does that sound good to you? Okay.
And if you are coming in on part 2 of the interview and you didn't hear part 1, that was yesterday's show. It was SOTG 628. I believe it was called Fighting Fitness with Dr. Dan Olesnicky.
Probably. Dr. Dan from SWAT Fuel?
Yes,
yeah,
Dr.
Dano of SWAT Fuel. There we go. That makes sense. All right. Now, we want to remind you, because you still have some time, to take advantage of the SOTG giveaway. We partnered with our good friends in the industry, our partners, the people who help us to make this show happen. And they decided, you know what? In addition to being most generous and ensuring that Student of the Gun Radio continues to go day in and day out, we're going to give away some actual stuff, some swaggage, some pieces and parts and components and all kinds of stuff. And there's way too much for me to describe to you, but there is an actual genuine firearm. There's a gun. There's cleaning gear. There's SWAT Fuel, which is SWAT Fuel. There's swag, hats, patches, stickers, all kinds of stuff.
Yep,
and
there's plenty of stuff on there. And
it's really hard to become a part of the giveaway, isn't it, Jared?
Yes.
It's very difficult.
It's very
Pay
difficult,
attention.
But I'm actually going to make it very simple for you. You want to hear this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Text the word giveaway to 844-207-7684. That's GIVEAWAY to 844-207-7684.
And they can take advantage of it that way?
Yep, that'll make it easy for you to get to SOTGgiveaway.com.
Wow. Well, all right then. So I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, I looked at the title of the show today, and it says Guns for Hiking. And yesterday I said, my wife says I don't need a gun to go hiking. And is she right? I think that's going to be our topic for today for Student of the Gun Homeroom, brought to you by Crossbreedholsters. Sometimes I want you to just let that go, man. Just let it roll. But that is Dangerous by our friends at MadisonRising, and we want you to be dangerous on demand, and that's really what Student of the Gun Homeroom is all about. And if you're carrying a gun, if you've got it in your Super Tuck Deluxe or something of that nature, then you can be dangerous on demand. I got a story here from SeattleTimes.com. Ooh, left coast stuff here. Well, you know it's got to be good if it's from the left coast, because they're the most reasonable, sane, intelligent people on the planet, right? I mean, ask them, they'll tell you. Dateline, July 11th, 2017. Pacific Crest Trail reopens after armed holdup of rescuers. And you said, do what now? Pacific Crest Trail reopens after armed holdup of not campers, not hikers, but rescuers. Well, I just feel that I need to dig into this a little deeper. Dateline, Los Angeles. The Pacific Crest Trail is now open after a section of it was temporarily closed, while authorities searched for two men who robbed rescuers at... Where did they rob them? It's a place that people keep going to and they get robbed. At gunpoint. Why do people keep going to gunpoint? I don't know. But if they stopped going there, they wouldn't get robbed. They robbed them at gunpoint! Jared, do you think that's a phrase that's left over from, like, the 1860s or 70s or, you know? And
it's probably been used for a long time.
Yeah, and they're like, yeah, that fits. All right, here we go. SWAT team members join deputies in search of for the robbers on the trail, which runs from Mexico to Canada. The trail reopened late Monday. It wasn't immediately known if the suspects had been found. That would be a no. But they figured, well, they're probably gone. And I don't know that for a fact, but if they had caught these people, chances are really good that they would let everybody know. What do you think, Jared? You're like, yeah, we caught the robbers, but we don't want to tell anyone. We're going to keep it a secret.
It's a top secret operation.
We don't tell anyone. The search and rescue workers were robbed of their radios Saturday while trying to bring water to a dehydrated hiker in distress. So this is what happens. A hiker is in distress, and they call for help. And so rescue workers come into the trail, and while they're on their way to help somebody, they get jacked by two yahoos. Not cool. Sergeant Zach Biddle says the rescuers weren't harmed, though the gunmen followed them up the trail for a while as they returned to their vehicle. The dehydrated hiker, don't forget about them, and three others trying to hike the entire 2,650-mile trail were later rescued by helicopter. So, what did we learn and what are we potentially going to learn from this story? If you are going to step off of the asphalt onto the trail out into the great wide open, I know that it's beautiful. I know that there's trees and birds and babbling brooks and pristine lakes and mountain streams and all of that beauty of nature, and that's what you're trying to get to, right? The beauty of nature. But the reality of it is despite the beauty of nature, that does not protect you, that does not keep you automatically safe from the evils of man. And for far too long, we have ignored and excused the evils of man, and we have allowed evil men to procreate, as it were. We've allowed evil men to multiply, and we have allowed their behavior to go unchecked. And when you allow evil to be unchecked, to go unchecked, and when you make excuses for evil, when you pretend that evil does not exist, that does nothing to rid the world of evil. As a matter of fact, that behavior guarantees that not only you have the same, but more of the same. You say, well, what are you supposed to do, Paul? Are you just supposed to shoot people that are trying to rob you on the trail? The answer is yes. Because these two, the two vermin that robbed the rescue workers that were going in to help the people, Jared, do you suppose that they learned the error of their ways, and they're good now? They're not going to harm anyone else. They'll never rob anyone else. Maybe, Jared, maybe they were looking for money for school clothes.
You know,
how the else they supposed to get money for school clothes?
I think it was the Russians were coming over and they were infiltrating.
That could
because
be.
They've been co-inspired with Trump.
Conspiring?
So, what did I say?
Co-inspiring.
Whatever, conspiring. I knew what I was trying to say.
He knew what he was trying to say.
So that's what's happening is that the Russians are conspiring.
It might have been Russians.
With Trump, and then they stole these radios so they can communicate in secret.
That could be.
Yeah.
That could be. Or those radios are at the closest pawn shop to where this crime took place. There could be that. If they want them, just go to the pawn shop. They'll find them there. Oh, kids. Kids. So the reason I put this story in there is it's not really that new because hikers on West Coast California type trails get robbed all the time. They get jacked all the time. We did a story about 2 guys that got robbed that complied, turned over all their valuables to the bad guys, and then got shot for their troubles. One died and one was able to make it out alive. And we gave that as a fantastic example of why the liberal advice of just give them what they want and they'll go away, how that doesn't really help you when they decide that there aren't going to be any witnesses. And give them what they want and they'll go away is the absolute perfect way to guarantee that behavior of that criminal will continue. Because they're going to leave you and they're like, hell, that was easy. I should probably keep doing this. Why should I get a job when these left-wing liberal people will so easily just turn over everything to me? Why should I stop? As a matter of fact, I should ramp it up, make a lot of money, robbing weak, spineless people who take the advice of the liberals and the socialists and the American fascists and just turn it over to them. So, folks, and if you have, and I tease, I kid, but if you have that wife or that girlfriend if it's a girlfriend, she's just a loner anyway. So I mean, you can always get another one of those. That's a girlfriend is just a rental unit, right, Jared?
Yeah. I don't know where you're going with that.
A girlfriend's just a rental. You can get another one.
Yeah.
Okay, and when it becomes your wife, then it's a lot more serious.
Yeah.
Actually, I stole that from my good, dearly departed friend Walter Roush. Somebody said something to him about, this is safe. He was trying to convince Walt that what he was doing was safe because he let his girlfriend do it, and Walt said, "Girlfriend, that's just a rental. You can always get another one of those." And I don't think the man appreciated that, but my good friend Walt did not care. And that was a great thing about Walt. But if you have that person in your life who's like, we're just going hiking, we're just going to go here, we're going to go there, we're going to go fishing, we're going to go walking, you don't need to be taking your gun everywhere.
You're right, honey.
You're right.
I won't save you when we're being attacked.
Those are the same ones that when the panic alarm go off, grab you real tight and say, you have your gun on you, don't you? Yes, of course I do. Because I didn't take your advice. I love you, but I didn't take your advice. Now, I'm not even going to address what if I married a person who hates guns and doesn't want me to be armed? What should I do then? Everybody's got life choices to make. And some people have death choices to make, so it's up to you. But before you disarm yourself because we're just going for a picnic, we're just going to go fishing, we're just going to do a day trip. And a lot of people think this. How many people think we're just going to park, we're going to walk out there, we'll only be gone for a few hours, nothing bad is going to happen.
Chase can appreciate that.
Don't need to take my gun, everything will be fine. Until it's not. So, yes, you should take your gun hiking. You should take your gun everywhere if you're an armed American citizen. If you're a left-wing liberal douchebag and you are disarmed by the communist state that you live in, then feel free to disregard.
And if you are a student of the gun listener, then you should definitely be taking your gun everywhere in a crossbreed holster.
Absolutely. And if you want to learn how to be a comfortably armed citizen, go to crossbreedholsters.com. I bet you they can help you out. All right, now before we progress and I turn you back over to our Dr. Dan and Jared interview, we do need to thank our friends at Brownells and thank them for having like 897,000 SKUs in their catalog, something like that. They have more of everything than you could possibly ever want, right? So, and they're always running sales and specials and deals, and I want you to save money, and I want you to take advantage of it, so make sure you're signed up for their newsletter, Brownells.com. Froglube, it's green, it's minty fresh. It's something that you can put on your gun before you go hiking so it doesn't rust. There you go. And it is a bio-based firearms lubricant. That's right, non-petroleum. You can get that from Brownells or from Froglube or wherever you want. You're an American. You can just do it. Don't forget Century Arms, as we mentioned yesterday or Tuesday or one of those days. I think it was Tuesday I mentioned it, that they did indeed extend their $50 manufacturer's rebate on rifles, on Century Arms rifles. If you want to find out more, go to centuryarms.com and they'll give you the details. DuraCoat, well, I'm going to tell you something. I love DuraCoat because it lets me be me. It lets me be an American. And what do Americans like to do? What do you like to do, Americans?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Does DuraCoat help you show your true colors?
It does. It helps me show my true colors. And what Americans like to do? They like to customize their cars, their motorcycles, their trucks, and their guns. And life is too short to have an ugly gun, and that's what I say. And if you would like to not have an ugly gun, DuraCoat can help you out. It's that simple. Go to LauerWeaponry.com and shop around, or you can get, like we said, from Brownells. You can do it too. But make sure that you get slightly darker black. This is what every student of the gun should have. They should have at least one can of slightly darker black. They should have a student of the gun official gun tattoo. And then from there, do whatever you want, man. World's your oyster. Are we still working on them to get them to do a Froglube green, to do a TM certified Froglube green?
I think we should just put them in contact with Froglube.
I think we should just say, we should put them in the room together and say, okay, Froglube people, DuraCoat people, make nice, go forward and do good things.
Both of them should come out to the September class.
There you go.
That way we have them stuck here.
Well, I don't know. They need to stay. They need to be in Wisconsin making up some really good DuraCoat products.
Yeah. You know, Steve can bring his new friend, his new baby,
freaking Hummer
out here and have some real fun with
yeah,
him.
that's what he needs to do.
Test it out.
Jump in that DuraCoated beast and drive on down here. All right, last but certainly not least, before we talk to our friend, Dr. Dan, we're going to remind you guys that SWATfuelstore.com has the new SWAT box. And if you'd like to order it, you can. We'll let you. We're going to talk about that actually during the interview. But if you go to SWATfuelstore.com, make sure that you use the promo code for you guys, and that's SOTG2015.
Attention, new listeners. We produced a free training video series called 7 Training Tips That Could Save Your Life. We want you to have access to this life-saving information. Get instant access now at studentofthegun.com. Do you watch Student of the Gun TV, read the blog, and follow us on Facebook? If you answered no to any of those questions, you are wrong, but you can easily fix yourself. Go to studentofthegun.com to find everything SOTG.
All right, and we're back with part 2 of the interview with Dr. Dan from SWAT Fuel. I want to jump into branch-chain amino acids because that's been said that it could be the fourth macro. You've got protein, you've got fat, you've got carbs, and then also branch-chain amino acids are important as well. And Dan, I think in your protein you've got 5 grams of L-glutamine. Why is that in there?
Well, L-glutamine is probably the amino acid that the body craves most post-workout. And what it is it's pre-digested protein that's designed to go immediately into the muscle and stop the initiation of the breakdown of muscle in other places. And so branched-chain amino acids are great because it is pure pre-digested protein that your body can turn both into energy through ATP, and it can also use to repair muscles on the fly or post-workout. So it's actually really important that we have that. And when you look at the way we do things, we try and take things that are natural, put them together in a logical way for your body to use it really in a biohacking way. So when we created the protein, it's a mix of different proteins. So the first thing is the branched-chain amino acids. So we put in L-glutamine because it goes into your cells immediately. And the body just kind of takes a breath. Your muscles say, oh, thank God, reinforcements are coming. The next thing that we put in is whey protein, which is actually a fairly fast absorbed protein, which is originally taken from dairy. But again, it's grass-fed, grass-finished dairy. And interestingly enough, it's tolerated better than really just about any other protein out there. And people who are even lactose intolerant, they seem to be taking this okay because, again, it has the right omega-3, omega-6 ratio. So that hits your muscles next. And then for a smooth finish, we have organic, non-GMO egg white protein, which is about 15% of the protein powder. That's absorbed much more slowly, and it allows you to have a smooth finish while your post-workout meal, the next meal, kicks in. And it's important to have a finish because otherwise your body has no nutrients, your blood sugar kind of drops, and you get hungry, and then you tend to overeat. So like all of our formulas, it's a combination of a number of different things together that work together in a biohacking way. So that's kind of what we did with that. So you have 3 types of protein in there, really staged so your body absorbs them really smooth and has a smooth finish.
Let's be honest here. Everybody that's listening loves to have a smooth finish.
That's right. From a personal standpoint, I was a little leery about trying the protein, and the reason I was is because I've grown up. I've been involved in the Marine Corps and law enforcement and so forth, and you had the weightlifter guys who were toxic. They were toxic because they pounded they bought these kegs, these big plastic kegs of protein, and you couldn't be in the same room with them. Because they were constantly farting you out of the room, quite frankly. And so I thought to myself, okay, well, powdered protein is powdered protein, and it's going to upset your stomach. But I can say with 100% and complete disclosure and honesty that I've been using the 44 Magnum protein powder, and I don't get the burps or the nasty gaseous clear the rooms. And how many of you guys out there in the audience know those guys? You know the muscle heads that can clear a room with one break of wind. And Jared, I mean, you have a similar experience. It doesn't upset my stomach. It doesn't give me the protein farts and what have you.
It's literally the 44 Magnum is the only protein that I've ever taken where my significant other didn't want to kill me. So
nice.
That's a pretty big bonus there. I'm still alive, and I do drink protein after every single workout that I do.
So do you know why that happens? This is like the egghead explanation, but it really makes sense. Give a stab at it.
I have no idea.
Okay.
If I gave a stab at it, I would say that it had something to do with the soy that was involved.
Negative, actually.
Oh,
what
wow.
it is your body is not absorbing the protein. And it is going 100% to feed your bacteria in your stool.
Interesting.
And then the bacteria just absolutely go ape on eating this. They multiply and they create gas, and they create nasty gas. But here's what the biohackers have figured out. Rather than getting the protein, you're getting chemical signals from all that bacteria that tell your body to do different things. So your bacteria in your gut actually take over the control of your body by secreting their own proteins and hormones that affect your body. And part of it works on gut motility, but the bottom line is all that money you spent on that protein is going to feed your pet gut bacteria and not your muscles. So if you're bloated and farting, you are not absorbing that protein. You're feeding the bacteria rather than it being absorbed by your body. So you're totally wasting your money. And again, the protein that we went to look for is stupid expensive to manufacture. Why? Because just like anything else, if it's quality, it costs money. So the protein that we created is grass-fed, grass-finished protein from Australia. And the sad thing is I couldn't find a hormone-free protein in the U.S. that we've tested out. If we can find one, or if we can actually build our own ranch that's truly hormone-free, then we'll eventually do that.
You know where there's some ranch land available, Dan?
I do. Yeah. That is the master plan.
There are probably Well, I'm not probably. There are the head of cattle in this valley outnumber the humans probably 10-1 easily.
Yeah, it's a good thing they're not smart like we are.
Well, when we become something more than the best kept secret in sports nutrition and in the tactical world, and we actually can further build our human performance center, it will most likely be in the lovely state of Wyoming.
That's right.
That's going to be awesome. You just said something about the tactical world, and now I want to get into this in a little bit. The formation of SWAT Fuel, why it's called SWAT Fuel. But before we do that, I want to talk about the fourth pillar. The fourth one is training, and if there's one pillar that could house the rest of the pillars, it would be the training pillar, because training involves eating the right food, making sure your nutrition's on point, hydrating your body, and making sure that you sleep. Now, the other part to training is some kind of exercise. And the reason that we don't really exercise isn't really a bad word, but I'd prefer to use training, because training is done with an end goal in mind, and exercise is just like checking, hey, I got to just exercise today. So training, we've got nutrition, hydration, sleep, and the best way that I've found to increase strength and obviously and even change my physique has been heavy barbell training. Now, for exercise or training, you need to do something that you're going to stick to. If you don't like barbell training and you're not going to stick to it, then don't do it. If you don't like running and you're not going to stick to it, don't do it. Find something that works for you and that you're going to stick with in the long run, because that's what training is. And one thing that's really helped me, actually, there's two things, and they're both SWAT Fuel. The 9mm plus B has helped me with my endurance in training. I actually took some the other day before I went and lifted. I truly believe that has played a role in the increase in the numbers. And then on the other side is, like, I know that all of you are not barbell trainers. I know that not all of you do that. So I used the 9mm, the regular fat burn formula, and I actually used that to cut weight for one of my fights. And that was the easiest weight cut I had between all of the fights that I've had. And I think I cut about 15, or I might have even been 20 pounds in 7 days. And it sucks. But with the 9mm fat burn formula, it was much more manageable for me. Now, Dan, you have way more experience with the 9mm and the plus P formula than I do, and you know how people use it. I know how I use it. How have you seen people using it?
Well, people use it in a lot of different ways. They can use it as a pre-workout formula. They can use it as an endurance formula, and they can also use it as an operational formula. And so the simplest one to talk about is the fat burn formula. That's really a training formula. You shouldn't use that operationally, because it really triggers fat loss. And the way fat loss happens is you need to use water to break up the fat molecules, and you also you sweat. I mean, you sweat a lot with the fat burn formula. And if you're not hydrating enough, that can dehydrate you. So we don't recommend that you use it operationally, especially if you're in military or law enforcement, because you'll sweat so much that you'll look like you came out of a pool if you're really exerting yourself. And, you know, everyone who uses the fat burn formula, they're pretty much amazed at how much they're sweating. And remember, sweat is fat crying, and we really set out to make it weep. And the 9mm fat burn formula does that. Now, what I did with the endurance formula is I looked at what really works. You know, some of the fat burn, so that you add lean muscle mass, but really to give you the endurance to do whatever you need to as an operator. So this is really made for operators. And so you can use it as a pre-workout, but it's not as strong as most of the pre-workouts. Why did we do that? Well, most pre-workouts that are out there are a little too strong, and they make you kind of dumb and uncoordinated. So if you're overstimulated, your really big muscle groups, your core muscle groups get strong, which will help you maybe with a bench press or a deadlift, but you lose your coordination and your synergists, and you actually increase injury potential. And that's not good for operators or people who are training to do a better job at work, because when you get hurt, what do? You can't work and you're not efficient. The other thing is it overstimulates your brain, and you don't think as clearly. So if you are active duty, you're in in the sandbox, whatever, fighting Al Qaeda or what have you. You never know when that's going to happen. So if you take a pre-workout and then try and get into battle, you may not make the best decisions. And when you're doing your weapons manipulations, your hands are overstimulated and you can't actually do them as efficiently. So we tried to create something that had just enough stimulation to give you endurance, to give you a little extra power, to give you mental focus, and actually help your reaction times. And one other thing that we did with this formula, and it's really kind of an egghead thing, but it's something that every operator should know about, and that's called parasympathetic backlash. What that is in a life or death situation, your sympathetic nervous system, your fight or flight nervous system gets redlined, okay? And Paul, we've both been in deadly force encounters, and when everything starts hitting the fan, your adrenaline is totally redlined. Interestingly enough, everything is clear and focused, but when that stimulus drops, you're exhausted. You just want to take a nap. And they saw this on D-Day when guys actually stormed the beach in Normandy. They got through the hellfire of the MG-42s coming at them. They made it to the beach. They got behind the barricades, and these soldiers, in the best performance, best shape of their life, some of them were falling asleep behind the barricades, and nobody could figure out why. They thought they were dead. They woke up later, and that's because of the parasympathetic backlash. So what is that? Okay, well, fight or flight gets turned off, and your vegetative couch potato system takes over, which is your parasympathetic system. So when you're redlined for so long, or even so intensely for a short amount of time, your parasympathetic system backlashes and you completely get fatigued and stupid and exhausted. So our stuff actually keeps a little bit of artificial adrenaline in your body, so you never go back down to zero and you're never a target after a deadly force encounter. Nothing else has been developed like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Being redlining is exhausting. Anybody who's ever done it, they understand that, and it's funny because they think, oh, well, I've got all this adrenaline, I got this dump, and everything's great. And that's one of the things that and it does weird things to your body. It makes you giddy, and it makes you like people who have survived deadly force encounters, and then they've been seen to laugh or joke or something and be like, oh, that's sick and twisted. No, it's actually not. It's part of the whole living through it and the adrenaline dump. But yes, I know exactly what you're saying. You can't even imagine. You're so pumped up that you think your heart's going to pump out of your chest, and then an hour later you're asleep or you're just exhausted. You're mentally spent. And that's one of the reasons that's one of the reasons you do intense training or realistic training, is so that you can manage through all of those things. So it's not something that's brand new to you. Now, it is, we've been going for a while, and Jared and I both thank Dr. Dan for being with us. I think we've probably given everyone. Well, I was actually writing notes on a notepad while we were talking.
Yeah, I was too. Now I do want to get to what I told him I was going to get to. If we've got a couple more minutes, do we have a couple more minutes?
Yeah. What were we going to get to?
I think it's my favorite thing about Dan and about SWAT Fuel is that this stuff that he's created, he didn't create it to sell to people. He created it for himself and other people on his team, and it got to a point where they were asking him, they're like, man, can you just sell this? And so, Dan, give us a little bit of background on the creation of SWAT Fuel.
Well, I wanted something that was going to extend my career in law enforcement and as an operator and give me an edge, because I'm looking at 50 right now, and the young bucks that are on SWAT, they're 25 or so, and you have a big difference in how young you are and what your endurance is. But in order to keep up with them and prolong your career, you have to do PT. You have to do physical training, keep your body in optimal performance. And that's our goal, is to optimize human performance. And the first goal was to optimize my performance. I don't want to do it the hard way. I want to do it the smart way. So that's why we did it that way. And, the bottom line is, if you're not training with your weapons, if you're not doing physical training, I don't know how you can call yourself an operator. The reality is, being an operator is not like hunting in a tree stand. The fight doesn't necessarily come to you. When the fight may start out coming to you, but then you may have to go chase them down and bring it back to them. In order for you to do that and survive an encounter like that and really call yourself an operator, let's do a gut check and, say, hey, rather than running away, can I finish it, before they come back with, more people or what have you. You never know what a fight's going to do. And you have to not only have the ability to defend yourself, but, defend yourself in a proactive way and finish the fight if it calls for that. And unless you're fit, you're not going to be able to do it. And if you've ever been in the military or in law enforcement, you realize that, man plans and God laughs. You absolutely have to be ready for anything because anything's coming for you. So that's why we do it. That's why we did it. And I really wanted the rest of America to be able to benefit from this, especially my brother operators who are out there, because there's a smarter and a better way to do it. And hopefully this makes it easier for everyone.
Well, you told me a story, Dan, about how you got into nutrition and deep into the weeds. They needed people to do seminars and discussions about nutrition, and it kind of fell to you. Is that like many, many years ago?
Oh, yeah. I was voluntold to do that because I studied molecular genetics before I went to medical school. It's like, oh, yeah, all about these hormones and ATP and all that. So you're going to do this. And you know what? It was the best thing I ever did because it forced me to look back at it as an operator. And it's one of those things that just triggered the brain and, made me develop a line of products that really didn't exist, really made for operators. And, the bottom line is you have to PT. You have to PT as part of your training, and you actually have to shoot when you're sucking wind from running or what have you, and really see what it's like to be in a stressed environment for your body and how you perform as an operator. And unless you're supplementing and eating right and sleeping right, it's not going to happen. You're not going to be as efficient as you could be. And we all want to go home to our families at the end of the day, but you got to be ready.
Dan, he's got a free guide to give you. Can you give him a little bit of an overview of what the guide is, Dan?
Sure. The guide is a lot of what we've been talking about today, and it's not a book. It's really more of a e-pamphlet or what have you. But it's something that you can read while you're waiting for your product to arrive, and it's something you can refer back to. And we're going to expand it again and again over time, probably turn a real book out of it. But the reality is there's simple things that you can follow and do and give you an idea of how to really take your training seriously from the nutrition and the diet standpoint. The other thing that's cool in there is how to calculate your daily protein requirements and how to do it and typically break it up into different meals. But you got a lot of helpful information in there that is just something to help guide you on your fitness journey and make you better again today than you were yesterday.
The protein information he gives you is worth the small amount of time it'll take to digest the content of this little e-pamphlet that he's going to give you. And you can get this at SWATfuelstore.com/SOTG. Dan, my friend, I really appreciate you taking the time to drop all those knowledge bombs on us today. And I really hope that all of you guys out there listening got as much value from this as I did.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you enjoyed this entire week of Student of the Gun. We gave you some prizes, special guests, all kinds of cool music and what have you. I'm sure that we gave you a lot to think about. Now, if you are not a grad program member, I'll be back to talk to you on Monday. If you are a grad program member, obviously, the bonus hour is tomorrow, Friday morning, and we'll have it out for you guys. If there is a chance that you are not a grad program member, but you want to be one, well, what you need to do is go to Student of the Gun Radio and follow the directions, radio.com, you know what I mean, and follow the directions, become a grad program member, get started, and there'll be all kinds of goodness just for you. Until then, remember, you're a beginner once, a student for life.